Hello, everyone. I'll say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever and whenever you are listening to the latest episode of I Never Knew, But My Dog Did podcast. I am Maureen Scanlon, your host or life coach Maureen, as most of you know me. I was just telling my fantastic guest, just I'm in a really good mood today. Everything's flowing, like I'm open, and for some reason, inspiration and intuition are on my side today. I've showered. That's a good thing. Yeah, I'm feeling really good. And before we start, I just want to say we're going to have to take a moment to celebrate the coolest name in the entire world my next guest has. I've heard summer, sky, ocean, and even autumn, but never have I heard the name Wave. So, my beautiful, beautiful next guest, her name is Wave. And tell me how to say your last name.
Melen. It's Swedish, so we've Americanized it.
Love it. Love it. Wave Melon. And listeners, we're going to talk about something today that might make you uncomfortable. I think it makes a lot of us uncomfortable, but it also is that sort of brass ring we're always reaching for, thinking it's the thing that's going to bring us everything that we want. So I feel it's a double-edged sword. So let me tell you about what Wave does. And I love her description of herself because I can totally see this in her. Wade is a badass financial coach who's been tossing glitter bombs into the great world of finance for over 7 years. With an authentic and heart-centered approach, Wade helps individuals embrace their financial adventure and crush financial isolation. Welcome, my beautiful new friend, Wade.
Woohoo! Thank you, Maureen. That even just got me excited.
I love that. I love that so much. So on I Never Knew or Inc., what we do is we sort of start off with I was at this place and then I moved to this place, and we call it the knee story. And I think we all have one moment or many moments where we were just at our wits' end and thought, you know what, I can't keep doing this thing that I'm doing. It's just not working. All the things I want are over here. I'm over here. And how do I get there? So tell us what really got you at this place. Where were you that you decided I need to be a badass financial coach?
Yeah, thank you, Maureen. Let's dig in. I'm excited. So I think there's, like you said, money is so taboo. Most people would rather share their sex lives with me than talk about money. And there's just something about this that makes me like want it more. um, so I am really, really happy to be bringing money, like uplighting money, uh, because I was absolutely in the dark for many years. I I grew up where I felt like I think a lot of us feel different, and like we want to be these free, wild beings, and it was made clear to me that there is a box and there is a path, and you do the thing and you grow up and you adult, and now you're in debt, and now you get a house, and now you go to work all week. And I've been resistant my whole life, and resisting makes you different. And so I remember um graduating college and being really confused now. Like, we all go to work and we have these terrible bosses, and we have these small moments on the weekend which are just exhausted moments anyway. And I like vividly remember walking down the street and seeing a sticker on a lamppost, and it said "Cradle to Grave," and it just like struck me so hard. I like my whole life was going to be owned somehow, and and I just remember it. I was just like, oh my gosh, my whole life is this, and I don't know how to get free. And in my quest for freedom, I found Burning Man and I ran around the desert in my underwear, spitting fire. And I solo traveled to Costa Rica and lived there for a year because I was so desperate to feel not locked in. And it was awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. I love running around the desert. And I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. Like, bicycle and never come back. You know what I mean? So, accompanying this amazing freedom was also a lot of debt.
Yeah.
Um, so I went over $30,000 in debt, trying to manage the depression and the soul crushing feeling of going to work and going to a corporate job and having abusive bosses. And for the record, I've had some good ones. But you know, those soul crushing ones, oh, you just remember them. So like really revolting against that by doing really big fun things and though then going into debt. And so I was not actually feeling as free as I wanted to.
Yeah.
So
I love all of
yeah.
that so much. And I love the box idea because I think a lot of our ideas about finances come from where we came from. And I know in my own family, it was you stay at a job that you hate for 40 years because it's secure and you need
Mm,
insurance and you need a 401k. And, the threat of in our generation, there's not going to be social security. And so
yeah.
the belief we instilled was I have to do this thing that I hate, even if I hate it, because it's what's expected. And I love what you said. Well, how many of us have wanted to just run away from our lives? And unfortunately, the running away also accrues that debt. I've always said we should reverse it. We should be wealthy in
Mm.
our youth, and then we should go ahead and work when we're retired, when the kids are all gone and we want something to do so we're not lonely and sitting at home. What do you think is the prevalent emotion surrounding finances and money?
Yeah, I almost got myself like agitated by my own story. Do you know what I mean? Like there's so much emotion built into that. I have this like I'm right now I'm bursting for freedom just at the thought that I've that there was anything anchoring me. I mean, I felt a lot of fear, like fear, guilt, and shame, right? Like I felt a lot of fear about being different, about being my own self. I felt a lot of shame that I wasn't gonna be doing what my parents, had intended. Um, and like just embarrassed at the way I had no idea how money worked. I didn't want to know. It represented the system. It represented people who did bad things with their money. It represented the reason I was going to a corporate job.
Right?
um, it just felt icky. And yeah, so I think that fear, guilt, and shame, like it just locks us up and people just lay awake at night alone, panicked for their family, panicked for themselves, and like super embarrassed at what's going on. So, okay, Maureen, I have this idea. Tell me what you think. It's gonna be that we're gonna throw these parties for our friends, and we're gonna be like, come over for champagne, and then we're gonna give a presentation and be like, y'all, I'm in debt this much, like $100,000. Help me out. And here's what I'm doing, and we all need to collaborate and get me out and help me.
That. Because like you said, being vulnerable about it and speaking about it, because we hide that. I mean, I think we hide that more than we hide our sexuality or we hide our personal trauma. Like we speak of that more freely than we do my financial situation. I would cringe at people looking at my bank account, whether it was overflowing or it was down to nothing.
Both. Wow.
It's
Yeah.
right. It's so personal. It's like
Hmm.
my innermost thing because I think we have put too much value on someone's worth as a person based on
Mm.
their worth in their bank account. Do you think that's true?
That's such a good way to look at it. I've never thought of it that way. And I'm just hoping that when Gen A comes around, they're like, what were you guys tripping about? Like, we talk about this all the time. But it's so cool if you think about it. People are like, I have these diagnoses and everything's coming to light and we're all coming together around it. So I am just happy to be one of many bringing this forward. Like, we don't need to hide anymore. Like you said, people will share their sexuality before they'll share their bank account. And that used to be a very personal and like scary thing to do. And still is in many parts of the world. So I
Yeah,
love that you're
we're
saying that,
fine,
like,
right? We're
what
financially
does our money
closeted.
yeah, we're financially closeted. Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh, yeah, so, like, what's the point? Because, like, okay, I am just imagine all these beautiful people have all these things to give to the world. They have all these dreams and passions, and we have all this peace to wage, and then there's just this, like, this giant anchor holding back all these people, um, because we're scared of it. It's terrifying. It feels like we're paddling upstream, and I can't maybe fix all the socioeconomic forces in our country. And I want to help people know that if you there is an option to look at our money differently. So I always tell
Mm,
people, open to be open. I'm open to be
yes.
open. I can center my finances, maybe even fall in love with them. And yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a really key thing is that in life with a lot of things, mental health, whatever, we feel like, well, I have options. But I think when we're feeling oppressed by our finances and especially debt, we're like, I don't have options. I can't go get another loan that puts me more in debt and I can't work more. I'm working 60, 80 hours a week. So I think it's the oppression of feeling I have no choices and no options when it comes to finances that really affects us the most. Do you find
Mhm.
that when you're coaching people?
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many things to consider. A lot of the people I coach are typically disenfranchised by the system, either intentionally or unintentionally, and adding just a whole other layer of complication. And some people have families; they've got we all have actual bills to pay. So I don't want to come at it with what they call toxic positivity. And there's a whole community of us, um, who help people get creative or walk through the dark with you, right? Like, it's like this super scary, like, dark forest, and we all need somebody to help us, right? Like, I it just breaks my heart too. Like, I know that fear. I know the shame. Like, I've been embarrassed. My parents died very young. My mom passed away when I was 6 and my dad when I was 17. And there were some income moments there, like Social Security from my mom being a teacher. I don't know where any of that money is. And I feel sad that I wasn't able to, like, care for it the way I would now. And I can definitely see how those emotions interact with the way I make decisions and the way I see the world. And also, like, I'm interested in unlocking it. Like, hey, it's okay. You were a kid. Yeah, you spent a lot of money on Amazon and junk, and, like, you don't need to do that anymore because your core values, who you are, what you want to do.
And I think
Um,
money a lot of times can become sort of that addiction, like eating or drinking or whatever. It fulfills us. And I can say this, I'm kind of a retail therapy person where
yeah.
if I go and luckily I shop, secondhand and repurpose things. So I'm not too bad at throwing, good money at bad things. But I love that you said that. Like how are you supposed to know? And I think it's crucial and we're not doing well enough in providing financial education to kids. Like my grandson, luckily this year, we are his guardians. He's taking a financial course and I made him do that because I took one course in high school that I remember to this day, and it was general business. And it taught me
Yeah.
insurance and mortgage. We even had to pick a stock to follow.
Hey,
Like,
you remember a lot. Yeah.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's the one course, trust me, I don't know what any algebra, I don't know, any biology, but I remember that. And we had a checkbook. That was the best, most practical course we could ever take. And I think every kid, it needs to be a requirement, just like math
Yeah,
and English. Do you
absolutely.
agree?
I don't even think I had that course. I remember picking a stock and it was Beanie Babies and it crashed. But I don't think we did any of the other things in that course. So you're completely right. And I mean, I don't mean to feel nefarious, but I'm like, is that intentional in our society that, like, our economy is based on spending? So with that in mind though, I think like when I think of someone who says, "Hey, I actually really do kind of like going like I love this certain type of shopping." I always think like, "Great, let's make sure that that's funded. Like let's make sure in your budget that that is like has plenty of money to blow." My whole idea is like I want you to blow money wherever you want. Um, I I think a lot of us think of budgets as restrictive and evil and like trying to like out to get us and ruin our quality of life. And I am just like, no, let's like build up all the things you love
Yes.
and go
Yes.
for it.
Well, it's like in life coaching, I tell everybody you have to balance alone time, family time, and couple time. And I think in finance, you need to finance rewards and obligations in
Yeah.
order to feel balanced and healthy, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
It's
tell us
just like
some of the
that.
tips that you give people. So if I'm coming to you for coaching and I'm like, whew, for instance, my poor daughter, she just had her first baby. She's 6 months old, my grandbaby, and she's married and she graduated college 10 years ago and she still has college debt, school
Mm,
loans, right?
mhm.
And she's staying home with the baby. Um, because that's what she wants to do. And so things are tight. So if she were to come to you or anyone would come to you and say, man, I still have all of this debt. My debt to income ratio is way off balance. What are some of the steps that we you start with when you talk to your clients?
Yeah. I love this question. It's like, what the heck do you do, Wave? Like, and so
Help me, Wave.
help.
Throw me a
Yeah,
lifesaver, Wave.
everyone has different goals. So even though I might have like intuitive goals about somebody, like I always want to make sure we have an emergency fund. I want to make sure that we're not going to like that one emergency, like all of my tires blew out, or that one thing's not going to tank us. A lot of people get, like me, an autoimmune disorder in the middle of their corporate job and have to take FMLA, or in my case, decided to move forward. But I needed 3 months of expenses to do so, and so we call that FU money in the community. It's where you have enough stability that you can walk away from your job if it's killing you, which honestly is such a common experience for my clients, um, like getting stuck. And so, if someone like your daughter came to me, I want to know what goals we're going for, um, and um, like right, we want to bring some creativity and knowingness to our lives. So the first step is no one's favorite step, but it is tracking. Like we got to see where it's going. Ugh, yeah. That's the hardest part. And if we can get over that hump, the second part's the most fun part, which is who am I without anyone else's input? Like like if you were to shut down the 8,000 ads we're exposed to a day, if you shut down like all your social media influences, what really fills your existential cup? Like what makes you feel less alone in this world? Like the actual things, because that's where we need to spend money, is what actually like makes us feel a little bit better on this question mark of a planet. Right? Because we're going to be inundated with news media and like the terror of everything and all these ads and things that we think we want, and we're going to be lost spending money on them and go into debt. And so this is a process of centering your finances, because money, it's just paper or a digital number, right? But like, what does it represent? And Vicki Robbins, she's a very famous writer in my community, Your Money or Your Life. And she talks about money being your life force energy. And so it's, what are you going to do with it, right? And so it's a different way to honor your life. It's like instead of money being in the peripherals, in the background, holding you back, it like represents your time and energy and your health. And so I'm going to spend it accordingly. Now, let me just put a caveat here. I always tell people to stay flexible because I goof off in my finances too. I had money set aside for something, and then I went to like a new age show and bought a crystal. And it just was not in my budget for this month. And but that's what I wanted, right? That's okay. I was like, but I did come home and I was like, ooh, my life force energy.
We
And
do
also like
that though. I
sometimes you
do.
want stuff. It's
You
okay.
know, I
So
do. I agree. I think sometimes it's just something speaks to us and we believe this thing is going to give us this high. It's always kind
yeah,
of like a drug until it wears off and you want the
definitely.
next
It
thing.
it definitely gave me a high and now I see it and I'm like, man, that really didn't support my my goal this year, which was to save X amount so that I could, build out what's called Feel Good Street on my property here, which is like a sound bath room, right? So like I have this really big goal and I keep derailing myself and it's okay.
Yeah.
So when I'm coming around to people's finances, like I don't hope to bring a lot of levity because one of my core values is laughter and fun. So I mean, I don't know. Life is short. My parents died so early. I'm like, anything could happen, y'all. So let's just look at them. Let's drink champagne, track your finances, see what's going on. I realize that clothing doesn't mean anything to me. So I'm only saving $15 a month for it. My sister, though, clothing is extremely fun and important to her. So we need to fund that. And so it's really like some people get really extreme about it, right? And some people want to keep a little more balance. So if it's like just off the top of my head, sorry, I'm getting really excited. Off the top of my head for your daughter, I'd be like, what can we creatively do at home that would be like a side hustle, a passive income? I have a friend who was selling plant starts in the summer, in the spring, and just leaving them on the porch and like a trust it, like put $5 in the jar and take a start. I just thought that
Yes.
was a really cute way to, hey, let's raise $100.
I love that. Well, then you would be so proud of me. So first of all, I have a product business, which is a doggy boutique, and I make homemade treats, and we have like a ton of really fun apparels and stuff like that. And we do vendor events here in Austin, which is super cool. We get to meet people and meet doggies, and that's everything. I never feel guilty about spending money on the business, but I never make a profit ever, ever. And then I have the life coaching, which I do make a profit at. And
Yeah.
I love it. And it's my passion project and it's my sole purpose. And then the podcast, I don't make any money at because hello, it's free. So and then you're gonna be proud of me. So I love clothes and I love vintage stuff and I love repurposing and reusing because we're a wasteful society. Everybody's heard me say this. I have a resale business. So when I do go and do my retail therapy, I get to find the joy of the hunt, but I turn around and
Mm,
I resell it for a profit and it practically runs itself. I get the thing, I post it and people buy it and they're really happy with it. And we're repurposing and saving the planet because clothing is the one thing that is the biggest landfill problem. So is that what you're talking about where
yes.
you can do something that you love, but you can also find a way to make it lucrative or even bring you some joy?
Yeah, it's absolutely it. And I am really proud of you. But
Thanks,
like
financial coach.
you have it on lock. And even as you were saying it, I felt that little ping of jealousy that I think a lot of my clients feel, which is like, well, you've got it all figured out.
No, I don't.
But like, do you know that feeling where you're like, yeah, I hear you, but like at least a lot of people who come to me, they're like, you sound all fancy on your podcast. Not you, me, right? You sound so uppity, Wave, but the truth is it's pretty serious. Like my situation's really bad.
Mhm.
Um but look where you can get because Maureen, I don't think that you just got there on like a hope and a prayer. Do you know what I mean? So,
Girl, oh my gosh. And I'm so happy that you said that because I really take exception when people say, well, you're so lucky you can do that. Luck had
mm,
nothing to do with it. I was a single parent with no child
mm,
support with 3 children. I was losing my home in 2008, single mom with a $3,200 mortgage, right? Making
yeah,
probably I think I was making maybe 2,500 a month at my corporate soul sucking job, right? What am I going to do? Everyone said, "Oh, right now everyone's foreclosing. Just foreclose. They're going to take it off your credit. Everybody's doing it. You can do that sell back thing, whatever, a quick, I don't know what they called it."
Mm,
And I was like, I sat there in my backyard looking at my home saying, it's the only stability my children have ever had. They've always counted on me. And at the time before I believed in spirituality, I believed in Christianity for me. And I said, if God brought me to it, he'll bring me through it. And you know what I did? I got a second job. I
mm,
got a second job that allowed me to get a lawyer that helped me to get some assistance that they were offering at that time to refinance my loan because I wasn't behind. No one wanted to help me. Got a lawyer who said, "Hey, you need to get a little bit behind so we can see there's a hardship." And lo and
mm,
behold, I was able to get this, but I had to work a second job for waitressing at night after my corporate job for, I think
mm.
I did that for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh my
I didn't
gosh.
get here. I didn't get here
Yeah.
on some shiny little gold slide. It was
Yeah.
not easy. So I'm glad you brought that up.
I love this, like the gravity. I've got the chills. This is that gold that I'm thinking like, I love your story and I'm so glad you get to tell it because this is what we all need to hear and talk about more. Yeah, I'm just thank you for sharing. It's like kind of an honor to hear someone's story and
How did you do it? How did you get out of
yeah.
your $30,000 debt? I mean, that moment where you're like, I got to do something because I want freedom. I want to go to Burning Man. I want to go to Costa Rica, which by the way, we're doing a retreat. You need to come because you would fit so perfectly in
Yes.
April. Save the date, April 25th to 29th. Come and be my guest. So how did you do it because I think money represents freedom.
Yeah.
And I think when we
Yeah.
don't have money, we think we don't have freedom. How'd you get
Yeah.
out of your $30,000 debt?
Really, really digging deep into that why and what I wanted, it became like singular in my life. I don't want to live like this. I think because my parents, like I said, had died so soon. I feel like the finiteness of my life was so present on my mind. You know, uh, what am I doing? Like this is all these days are important to me, and so for me, I dug deep. I actually paid it off in a year and a half. I had 3 jobs as well. And you know what? Those 3 jobs in a year and a half mean nothing to me now. I mean, because like it's been 10 years. I'll now have the next 50 plus, hopefully. We want extending that maybe to enjoy the wealth building process because I put in that time then. And so at the time, my partner even looked at me and she said, "You're not really nest material right now. Like, we can't even buy a house. Like, I'm not really sure what to do with you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, my bachelor lifestyle coupled with my debt, like, I've got this person looking at me like, do we have a future?" So I got to work and we actually, I like to do like 5 to 7 day challenges. So
Okay.
we did like overnight oats every morning. A 7 day PB&J for lunch. Really scrimpy, like getting so frugal because once unlocked my debt, we could just start doing whatever we wanted. And so for me, there was a lot of challenges, and I have a financial coach as well. And she showed me how to use YNAB, which is youneedabudget.com, which is something I teach. Um, and just all these little pieces came together, but I didn't know anything about money either.
Right.
I didn't know what the heck anything was. I thought a 401k was $401,000. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what these fancy words are. I don't know why we disinclude people with stuff. It's like, I wish we would just have more fun words. Like, this is a really fun savings account for like your best life. That's how I like to think about it. So, and for me too, being raised in a certain generation, I'm a millennial. It was like, do I really want to participate in this economy this way? It's not ethical. It's destroying the planet, you know, all these questions. So this is a lot, right? How do you just
Yeah.
pay off debt? Like, you're not a robot. So it's the same thing I say for me. You know, some people make an investment in me. It's like, okay, I need to pay Wave this over 5 months. And we're going to build wealth, though, for the rest of your life based on that. And so I always let people know, like, a little blip now, doing that second job, like you did. You spent maybe 2 or 3 years getting serious, but now you've had the rest of your life. So just
Yeah. And
feeling motivated there. Yeah.
plus there's benefits because I met some of the coolest people, because the corporate job I use a lot of mind power, and this was a serving job, and it was such a nice social outlet for me. My son even was like 13 at the time, came and busted tables with us. And I met some of the nicest people, and I had some super cool experiences where the day job was just the grind and I was not appreciated or valued. And so even looking at the second job as I have to do this, it was actually like, hey, this is really fun. Like I get to meet people, and the bonus is the social aspect of it. So I think if we, like anything as a life coach mindset, look at anything as a
Mm,
positive, then you can get through it. But I want to ask you, so what I'm hearing you say when it comes to like steps in your finances, number one is discipline. Is start out being disciplined. Now, I'm teaching my grandson the difference between wanting and needing, and he's totally into vinyl, and he wants these albums that are like 100 and something dollars. And we're trying to save for a car. He's getting his permit tomorrow. And I said, is that something you need or is it something you want? But I feel like Wave is trying to teach me to stop doing that, because you said earlier, what do you really want? You should spend money on the things that you really want. So, how do I stay disciplined and get the things I want too?
yeah, you know, I have a visceral reaction to the word discipline. I'm like, ah! Like, I am such a Pegasus unicorn. Like, you know, running in, like, I want to be the wild, you know, we're breaking out the barn over here. And there's, I mean, I think that that's, you know, it's not a bad word. It's only bad if you think of it that way. So it is interesting, huh? You know, there's, I think what I want initially, right? Because he's young, so he doesn't have that burden yet. But like most of us, the first steps, like everyone should feel some like relief. Like, oh, okay, it's out. I've looked at my numbers. It's not the end of the world. Like
Mm.
it's really that first step that you start, that the panic is in your head and your heart and your soul. But once you just lay it out on paper, show somebody, you know, show me, show you, whoever, it's like, oh, what was that? This wasn't as big a deal as I thought. And then you get into that tracking and what your grandson's in, which is like, you know, like, yeah, how do you develop priorities? Um, there is going to be scarcity. It's just the three-dimensional planet, you know, is how I have to talk to myself. Like, I can't have everything all at once. Timing and pacing.
Yeah.
I can have everything if I really want it, but I'm gonna have to pace myself. So I initially thought I wanted this new truck this year because we live in Oregon now and it's like icy. Um, and the more I talk to myself about it, and I realize that, man, that's like a 3, 4 year goal. Why don't I, you know, I'm gonna push that back. But the high of looking was really fun.
That's good
So
though. But
yeah,
so there you go. We can
wants
window
and
shop.
needs. Yeah, we can window shop. My partner loves going to the library because she thinks it feels like she's bought a bunch of books.
Yes.
Um, yeah, wants and needs is actually a really good way to go about it. I think that's super healthy. Um, and for me though, I want to know that, you know, when we go to Alaska, I have enough money to not even look that whole time.
Yeah.
I want to build up my envelope with a certain amount where I can just go nuts and have fun. And it does take time. It does take a little bit of self-discipline though, because I don't know, like sometimes what I tap into is people's craving for their authentic selves. Like, I crave knowing who, like, what I really want and who I am. And when we're like distracted all the time, it's stressful. And so yeah, there's like, what does he really, really want? And if it's records, like, all right, timing and pacing though, right? Yeah. So
That's exactly it. And he's a musician. So of course I'm going to encourage that. But what I told him was, I want you to reward yourself for working hard. And but
mm,
I want you to reward yourself where it's feasible once your obligations are paid and you pay yourself first. Put money in savings first. That's for you. It's a gift you give to yourself
hmm,
every single month or every paycheck. And then, those obligations that you have. And one thing that came to my mind when I was thinking of the way that I started to feel more financial freedom was consolidation. And I
mm,
think everyone, if they looked at their financial situation, they could see there's some places where you can do some consolidation. If you've got 5 credit cards, see if you can consolidate it. See if you can
hmm,
talk to the credit card company and get that credit limit raised on that one so you can move this one over and then you have one payment. I think it just like in life, if we consolidate things, we make things easier for ourselves. We free up time,
right.
space, and money for what we want.
Yeah, no, it's right. It's like simplifying is absolutely the key, and it can get complicated if you're in a partnership. You know, you're both spending money on all sorts of stuff, and one card's going this way and one card's going that way and another card's paying the other one. People get really knotted up. And that's absolutely where I step in. Like, let's get detangled, simplify, and bring some ease and relief to this situation. And you're right. It's also easy, like when it's all in your head all day, all night, and nothing's out. It just gets bigger and bigger and worse and worse. And I've absolutely worked with clients who are over 200,000 plus dollars in debt. And once they get it out, though, I've seen them tackle it and just feel like almost joy. Like,
Yeah.
thankfully, we did this for ourselves. And I want to go back to your was it your grandson? Yeah. So I like to automate paying myself first so that all my obligations kind of are automatic. They happen in the background.
Yeah.
And I like to help people set that up. Everything should just leave your bank. Like, if you get a paycheck, a W-2, it leaves your bank before you even see it. Or in my case, running a business, that's like an owner's draw. It just automatically happens. And it's too much to worry about. We need to simplify. Automatic, automate everything. And then, yeah, then you have your discretionary. I'm like your grandson, though. I'm a musician, so I have a whole line item called gear that I don't even know that I want yet, but the second I see it, I'll need it.
I, I love you have no idea the stuff that comes in from Amazon. I mean, he's constantly getting new drum skins or whatever. But
Yes.
I love that you say that about the automating because it's so weird. It's a psychological thing with my background in psychology. If I have to take out my wallet and pull money out, ooh, ow, ouch, that hurts. I feel bad. I'm losing something. But the automated thing, it's like I don't see it, I don't miss it, but it's still building my wealth in the back end. And that's a great I have a story when I was in that situation as a single parent and really struggling, had to get the second job. I had the 401k, and most people were drawing on their 401ks, borrowing on it. And then you had to pay that back. You were paying interest to yourself, but you still had to pay it back. So it was another payment. And I was like, no, I am not doing that. And when
Mm,
I needed it the most, I could have done that. And I remember my parents, thank God, my father said, don't touch your 401k. And I was like, man, but it would be so easy to just bail myself out right
mm,
now. So I didn't. And even though I was struggling financially, every single year I raised my 401k 1% of what I put in it. I never saw it. It didn't bother me. I didn't miss it. So if I got a 4% raise and I put a 1% in, I still was seeing 3% more in my check, but yet I was still helping myself build something. So now that I'm self-employed and running businesses, it's all sitting there for all of that hard work that I put in it. So the automated thing, I love you for saying that because it feels less invasive. I think it
Yes.
is the key. Now, I'm a relationship coach, and the three things that most of my couples come to me with that have
Mm.
problem is parenting, sex, and money. So,
Yeah.
do you think we have money personalities and that causes issues? I find that with my couples. I'm like, you're a spender, you're a saver. What
Mhm.
do you think we can do to overcome that? Obviously, you and your partner sort of had that kind of, I'm a saver, I'm a spender. You don't have a future for us, but I want fun. So, how do we overcome that?
Oh my gosh, I wish I knew you guys. No,
I will be.
yeah, that's
I'll refer them.
definitely where you step in, Maureen. No, yeah, we've worked together probably on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the craving for help, for relief, for safety, just being tired. You kind of have to get to this point where you're like, I can't do this anymore. We can't, right? We can't do this anymore. And for my partner and I, it wasn't that low of a bar. But for me personally, I felt I felt like I don't even know how to go on. Like the depression was pretty strong. What am I doing? Like what's gonna happen to me? And so yeah, I don't know. I call it like radical honesty. And I don't know how to get there, to be honest, Maureen. That's probably where you step in. It's just like so many people fake it all day, and it's exhausting. And everyone's talking about burnout, and we kind of like I don't know. I actually had to get off like stop looking at some accounts on Instagram because they would say one thing and then I knew them and something else was happening right in their lives.
Oh,
So I was like,
yeah.
oh, I really, I had someone who was like living in the forest, living all wild and stuff. And I was like, oh, I want that. Then I learned that they were miserable. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting something that doesn't.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
really, I mean, and that's a whole nother golden
that's a
retriever.
whole, I know.
That's a
I'm
good
not even
golden
answering your
retriever moment right
question.
there. And I could go down that rabbit hole with you so easy. No, you're right.
Yeah.
When it does come to like my couples, it has to be mutually reciprocal in a
Mm,
marriage, in a relationship, in a friendship, whatever. We can't feel that someone's winning and someone's losing, and
mm,
that's really when things go wrong, whether it is sex, parenting, or money in relationships. Because I know in my life and why my relationship with money has been so bad is that 90% of the arguments in my household growing up were about money. My mother was an extreme saver, and my father was a spender. And I remember just he wanted to have fun. He was you. He was like, I want to have fun. He came home one time. I was 9 years old. The only vacation we ever took in my entire childhood. He came home, rolled up in this big old RV, and my mom came out there like, what is happening? And he's like, well, we're renting it and we're going to drive to Disneyland. And we did it with another family. So we had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people in this RV. It's the one vacation I remember my whole entire life. And now I'm like this huge travel aficionado. I have to travel because I think my father instilled spend money on travel, where my mother
mm,
was like save, 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 save.
mhm.
So it really has to be reciprocal. What ended up happening, and this is probably old school, they are boomers, but she ended up giving him an allowance to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
able, so she could pay the bills, and then he would have fun
Oh
money.
yeah.
He loved
I love that.
dog racing, and
Yay.
he was
Oh no,
always,
not the top racing.
yeah, no, I know. They don't do it anymore. It's all closed down here. But that was, we could count on dad to give us a 10 for the ice cream
Yeah.
man, or, dad was the generous one. And so part of me was like, I have to be like my mom, and I've got to save, and I've got to be really frugal. And the other half was like, but go have fun. So I think I kind of
Yeah.
got I got a
Just like
really good thing in the middle
bring that
there.
together. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think when I think of my partner and I like I want her to blow money on whatever she wants, right? And like, so as long as we know that we're both like gonna like, the whole point is to fund the fun. And so I want her to have that, and then having that automated stuff in the back, that responsible part, it feels good though. Like that's what makes me happy. Like I know we use the word discipline, but like that discipline gets me freedom. So that's, if it's just discipline for the sake of discipline, like that sounds like my worst nightmare. But if it's discipline because I'm gonna get more things, I'm gonna get more of what I want. I want to travel too. I want to go help the rescue manatees down in Belize. I've got things to do and wage and peace to wage, and like I don't want to get locked up either. So I think you're not wrong to say discipline, but like they lead to things. And
Maybe
oh man,
we
yeah.
should change discipline. I'm going to change discipline because it feels like a 4-letter word. Let's change discipline to what do we say when we want to achieve something? Like, I don't like resolutions. I don't like New Year's resolutions. We set
Mm,
ourselves up for expectations that if we don't meet, then we feel worse about ourselves. Goals is just too much of a catchphrase. What could be another word for discipline that feels better? Maybe that's a key for
yeah.
people.
And it's so real because like, if we have a ADHD brain, the last thing we think we're capable of is discipline, doing, staying organized. I mean, those are not my fortes in any sense. And I do help people do those things, right? So like I think that's why we need each other though. Like if it's just self-discipline and like I'm gonna do this, oh, radical self-care. And it's like I am kind of over that right now because doing things yourself totally sucks. Like we need help. I'm into radical community care. Let's have this champagne party and ask for help. So yeah, it's like it's just automation. Let's just automate stuff. It's not even an emotional decision. Things are automated. You're building wealth. And then if we wanna all have emotional feelings about our discretionary funds, like my crystal that I bought, so be it. I'm a human, it's okay. But if
Love that.
everything's automated, you don't even have to have an emotion attached. It's just happening.
I think we have a new niche for you because with coaching, which I absolutely love, there's so many niches that we can focus on. The fact that you are a financial coach, but you just brought something up. I think people who are neurodiverse have a heck of a lot harder time on finances. When my husband makes me do my spreadsheet so he can pay the taxes quarterly, it drives me crazy. He knows you might as well be telling me I need to go, like dig a ditch in the front yard when he tells me I have to do the spreadsheet. It's like nailed on a chalkboard. I'm like, oh, he said it. He said the word. He said spreadsheet. I don't know why. It's terrible. But I think because I'm neurodivergent. I told
Yeah.
everybody this before. I'm ADHD as well as highly autistic, highly functioning autistic. And I think we have a hard time focusing in general, but focusing on finance is the thing that just is like, oh, I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
That would be a niche in and of itself, is like
Yeah.
financial coaching
Absolutely.
for neurodiverse.
It's true.
I seriously
I
love
mean,
that.
obviously a lot of my clients are in both of those categories and more in neurospicy.
Yes.
Because that's kind of where I'm sitting, right? That's the attraction that's coming in. You know, I try to gamify everything. It's either lots of color, lots of rainbows, lots of sparkles, lots of magical beasts, and I want it's like a video game for me, right? Like when like the type of budget that I teach people to use, it's like it's fun, right? It's secretly fun, and so
Yeah.
oh,
Well, tell me
I get it
where
though.
tell me
It's not all pretty.
where can we find you to for financial coaching so that our listeners can be like, I really love what Wave is talking about, and I feel more aligned with millennial Wave than my mom's accountant who tells me not to
Mm.
spend anything and bring receipts. Where can we find you?
Yeah.
Where can
Yeah.
we find you?
I always think of like Carlos with the button down, and he's, the white guy who's like, you don't need, oh. um, and I'm like excited, I'm your favorite golden retriever. So
You are.
yeah, so I think one thing that people come up to me with is like, I need help with money. How am I supposed to invest in you, Wave, when I'm struggling with money? And so, I definitely want to let people know that if you choose to work with me, we will build that in. I typically do a 3 to 5 month kind of runway to get you going where you need to go.
Mhm.
And like I always say, like I invested in a financial coach, I took a like maybe a small dip more into debt, but I now am in the green, right? So
Yes.
I
Yes.
want people to invest now for their forever. Um, and I do understand that's a complicated question. So, but I do try to build that into our sessions together, so that I'm also automated and you won't worry about it. Yeah, so the best place to find me, like right now on Instagram, there's Financial Coaching with Wave, where I made a nude video in the shower. So definitely go see that. My partner was like, "Do we really need to be nude on the internet?" I was like, "Yes, yes, we do." So that's Financial Coaching with Wave. Also, my website is coachingwithwave.com. And I do have a freebie on there. And I'm it's called Dollar Bills and Unicorn Thrills. So you're no fluff, a fluffy guide to getting your financial ish together. Um, and so if you actually work through that, I'm literally giving a talk on like page 1 this week in Eugene, Oregon. So, and that's going to do some core value work. So before we even jump into numbers, like let's do some fun stuff.
Love
So
it.
yeah, and please join my newsletter. The point of my newsletter is a good newsletter. It's not just me trying to get you guys to do finance stuff. It's like there's a lot of good things happening on this planet, and we have to remind ourselves because like you, I love dogs, so there's always going to be a dog video in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I love it. Please just reach out to me. If you just have questions, I'll answer them. Do you know what I mean? Like we're
sure.
all in this together is how I feel.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's your passion, and I love that this is your purpose, this is your ikigai, this is what you're meant to do. And I always say, when you're a coach, and this is how I find most of my coaches is we are the most effective because we've been there. And
Mm,
if you don't have a coach that's been there doing what they're asking you to do, you might want to find another coach, because the most effective thing is coming from I know how you feel. I've been
mm,
there, rather than, oh, I feel bad for you. Here's A, B, C, D, what you need to do. I just don't think it's effective. I think we have to feel one
yeah.
another and connect to help each other best. So as we wrap up, I always lighten it up a little bit, although this was already super light and glittery. This isn't a heavy topic as our other ones really are. But I have a little segment that I'm doing, and this one is called What'd You Get? And I want to know, what is the most interesting thing you've purchased or received or given as a gift that sticks out in your mind? This is a good segment for financial. What's the thing that you got that was, ooh, it spoke to you, besides the
Mm,
crystal that you bought?
hmm. Yeah, besides that, and all my music gear and DJ equipment and all the random crap I buy. Um, wow, I'm actually like nervous about this question. Why? It's so relatable, right? So, I'm a cook, so buying me like a really high end anything makes me so happy. I got high end, this is gonna sound silly, you guys, but like I think they're like $32, but they are just like, what is it that you like pick up wontons with? Like,
The
what are
oh,
those tongs?
an oven mitt? Is it an
No,
oven
a
mitt?
tong,
Oh,
a tongue,
tongs. Okay.
a really, really expensive pair of tongs. And I don't know why, but like this brings me so much joy because like usually if I were to buy a kitchen tong, I'd get them at somewhere, Goodwill or whatever. But like they're so fancy, and when you like lift them up, they clasp, and when they push down, when you hold them down, they open. I mean, what could be fancier and more luxurious in my mind?
I am all about it because I too love cooking, and I love going to those gourmet kitchen stores, and they have
Yeah.
all the gadgets. Like, one of my favorite things is the avocado thing that it takes the
Yeah.
seed out and then you run it through and you've got slices,
Yes.
like I love the fancy and the appliances. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
all about the appliances. I feel like there's something that makes my life easier and faster in the kitchen. Like, I love kitchen gadgets. So
You're
they're like,
into it. Yeah,
that
same.
is
And it's something I
fantastic.
would have never spent on myself, but once I have them and I don't even use them often enough. I'm, like, making up reasons to use them, but man, that's the seat of luxury over here. Like, picking up my peanut butter and jelly, like, "Oh, I got you."
That's right. That's right. You're gonna even need like eat with them. You're like,
Yeah.
forget chopsticks. I'm using my fancy tongs.
Yep. Height of luxury.
Well, this
I
is
mean, maybe I'm simple, but at least,
no, you're not. You're not. You're such a joy and you're so like exhilarating to watch and to listen to. So I can only imagine how fantastic coaching with you would be. So,
Mhm.
listeners, I hope you enjoyed our fantastic, beautiful, wonderful Wave today. Go ahead and reach out to her if you need anything. I'll have all of those links in the show notes. And you can also come to me for your couples coaching, relationship coaching, confidence coaching, learn how to be your own best friend, the one that your dog already knows you are at lifecoachmaureen.com. Do not forget my books. I say it every time. My dog is my relationship coach, and my dog is more enlightened than I am. And don't forget your children's book. My dog Bexley is just like me for those little guys 6 and under. You guys are amazing. Don't forget to go buy some treats for your puppy and some accessories at mydogiseverything.net, our boutique. I love you all for being here. Please, please, please go subscribe, go send a review or post a review, share this with your friends and family. I try so hard to bring you amazing guests like Wave every week because I want every area of your life to be the most fulfilling and wonderful life that you can possibly have. We get one shot at this and it should be the best. It should be it should be full of light and love, and we should never feel oppressed by anything, especially money. So we're wishing you freedom today. Love you all. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, most of all take care of those furry babies. Please, please, please adopt and do not shop. Until next week, I love you all, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.